Well, I've got another video today. I work at a shop called Renaissance Custom Furniture, and as the name suggests, it's a custom furniture shop. One of the benefits of working there is we often get jobs that are challenging. It's also one of the hard things about working there because you're constantly trying to figure out a new way to do a new procedure. Our current job is 4 tables, and they all have this component here as part of their pedestal. As you can probably see, there's some lines on the front of this pedestal. These lines are the marking lines for some beads that we have to figure out how to route into this pedestal. The challenge is, as you can see, the shape of this curve here make it impossible to get a standard router in there to route the beads all the way up. So we had to think outside the box a little bit, and this is what we came up with. I'll come a little closer so we can see. This is a standard trim router, and what we've done is make a set of guide bearings to attach to the router to allow us to route the beads in the side of the pedestal. You can see the bit there, if I turn it, is just a pointed double round over bit, and there's these 2 bearings that we attach to act as guides. They rest on the side of the pedestal as we route. And what we're going to do is we'll turn it on its side, but you can see from the side that this will get all the way up in there and route our bead where we need to go. The other thing we've done is we've made a fence for the router to follow. The fence is just a couple of pieces of plywood at a 90-degree angle, and then we've attached a face to it that is the reverse profile of the pedestal. So the fence, with the pedestal laying on its side, just sits like so and gives us something to rest our router against. Okay, I've got our fence all ready to go. I've got it set up to the right of our layout line, and I will take our jig and hold it up against our fence for positioning and move it towards me, always keeping the bearings in contact with the surface and the side of our jig in contact with the fence. That'll keep me flush to the surface and will give me a good result. The other important thing to remember is that as we follow this curve, we've always got to keep our router perpendicular to the curve. As far as attaching the fence, all I've done is I've used 2 C-clamps. Our pedestal is hollow, so I've got them attached to the inside of the pedestal, and they give me a good solid reference point. We want to clamp down nice and tight. The goal of this is not to eliminate the need for hand carving. It's just to rough in our bead so that we can finish it up with our carving chisels. As with anything, it's always important to wear your safety equipment. So I'm going to put on my safety glasses and my hearing protectors. That's it. The last thing I need to mention is I have attached a stop to my fence so that all my beads stop in the same place. Okay, our last step is to do a little bit of carving. As you might be able to see, it didn't leave us with a perfect surface, but that's fine because we're going to carve it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to start off with my 320 carving gouge, and I'm just going to work downhill with it and take off all the fuzzies from the router and give it more of the shape we're looking for. I'm doing is I've got my gouge inverted on these downhill sections, so it gives me a little bit more of a curve. It's less curved than I want, which is fine. I just make multiple passes and take a little bit off the curve at an angle each time. Now when I get down into here, I lose my angle for carving, so I've got to turn it around. Now this is a flat enough gouge that I can do that, and you're just really all you're doing is making miniature facets as you carve. And you just keep going, and you make enough small facets, and it ends up being round. And then your next step is just to do a little bit of scraping, a little bit of sanding, and it's ready to go. I've reached the bottom of it, and I'm just going to come back over here and hit the other side real quick. So I get into there, I've got to turn my gouge a little sideways to give me the angle I want, and kind of go across the grain. It's real important not to overshoot, because you end up gouging the other side of your bead. Now you want to be careful not to take too much stock off. Of course, if you do, you can always save your piece and glue it back on, but that's always a pain. You want to avoid that as much as possible. But when you're learning, that's a pretty common thing. I did my fair share of gluing things back together when I was learning how to carve. Okay, I'm going to try one more time to give you a little bit better view of what I'm doing with my gouge work. Once again, I've got my 320 gouge, and I've got it inverted to kind of follow the curve around, and all I'm trying to do is to get rid of any mill marks from the router, any fuzzies, any tear out that it left, and give our bead a little bit better shape. It's pretty easy carving job, actually. And once again, when I get too far down, I gotta turn it around, and but once again, I'm just making little bitty facets. Move my hands a little bit, so you can hopefully see what I'm doing. Maybe if I work from the opposite side, like so. And I'm just gonna take off a little bit, and you can see I've got a little bit of tear out. This is alder, and alder's bad about tear out when you route it. That's where hand tools come in. You can't get away from using hand tools. You can do an awful lot of things with power tools, but there's no replacement for some good hand skills. I find my carving skills come in very handy just in general woodworking, especially fixing things that the machines tend to leave behind. Now, I hope you can see what I've been doing. You know, you don't have to work too hard at this, especially if you keep your gouge sharp, which will be a video for another day. Sharpening, you can't get away from it. That's it. I've spent no more time on it than that, and it's ready for me to do a little scraping, and then finishing up, getting it ready for the finish. Thanks once again for watching, and post any questions or comments below the video. Thank you and goodbye.